Yesterday we saw that basic cell signaling and its type. Now we are going to study that G protein coupled receptor, which is a major group of cell surface receptors that are coupled to the signal transducing trimeric G protein. All G protein coupled receptors contains 7 membrane spanning regions with their N-terminal segment on the exoplasmic phase and their C-terminal segment on the cytosolic phase of the plasma membrane. The GPCR family includes receptors for numerous hormones, then neurotransmitters, then light activated receptors like rhodopsins in the eye, and thousands of odorant receptors in the nose. In the schematic diagram of this in the schematic diagram of the structure of the G protein coupled receptors, we saw that N-terminal regions in the exterior part and the C-terminal region in the cytosolic part. While there is a region H1 to H7, which is the alpha helical region. Then there is a presence of E1, E2, E3, E4. These are 4 extracellular segments are present. Then C1, C2, C3, C4. These are 4 cytosolic segments, and the carboxyl terminal is attached to last alpha helical region. Uh, these are some effector proteins. Then association of the G alpha or G proteins coupled classes are there. And then because of their the production of a secondary messenger increases, and the examples of the receptors are present in these tables. There are 21 different G alpha proteins encoded in the human genome. It contains subunits are activated by different GPCRs and regulate a variety of different effector proteins. They synthesize secondary messengers like cyclic AMP, cyclic GMP, IP3, and DAG. There are some stimulatory subunits which activates like adenylyl cyclase, while some inhibitory subunits like G alpha I, which inhibits the adenylyl cyclase and the cyclic AMP production. Next, the steps which are included in the G protein activation effect. The trimeric GDP bound form of the G protein is in the inactivated stage. During intracellular signaling, the beta and the gamma subunits remains bound together and usually referred to as a G beta gamma subunit. The G alpha subunit is a GTPase switch protein that alternates between an active state which is bound with the GTP and in an inactive state which is bound to GDP. We will see that in this diagram. In this resting phase, the G proteins G alpha subunit is bound to GDP, means it is a inactive state. When it is bound to GTP, it goes to active state. The G protein coupled receptor transduces signals from the extracellular hormone to associated effector proteins. Both of G alpha and G gamma subunits are linked to the membrane by covalently attached lipids. In the resting phase, when no external signaling molecules are bound to the receptor, the G alpha subunit is bound to GDP and complexed with the G beta gamma subunits. Binding of the signaling molecule or a hormone like epinephrine to the receptor changes its conformation, or a conformational change is carried out in the receptors, which causes the binding of the G alpha subunit to the GDP is displaced from the G alpha, and the GTP becomes bound to that G alpha subunits. Thus, the activated ligand bound receptor functions is carried out by the G alpha subunit. Once the exchange of the nucleotides has occurred, the G alpha GTP complex dissociates from the G beta gamma subunit, but both remain anchored to the membrane. G alpha GTP then interacts with and activates the effector proteins. This activations is for a short time, because after that activation the GTP bound to G alpha is hydrolyzed to GDP in a seconds, catalyzed by GTPase enzyme that is present in the G alpha unit itself. The resulting in the G alpha GDP quickly reassociates with the G beta gamma subunit, thus the terminating the effector activation. In other cases, the proteins termed as or called as a regulator of the G protein signaling accelerates the GTP hydrolysis, which by the G alpha subunits, reducing the time during which the effector remains activated. These are steps which are involved in the GPCR activation, where first binding of the hormone induces the conformational change in the receptor. In the next step, activated receptors bind to the G alpha subunit. In the next step, the GTP becomes dissociate from the G alpha subunit and activates the receptors. After their conformational changes, GTP bound to G alpha subunit and G alpha GTP complex becomes dissociated with the G beta gamma subunit, but G beta gamma subunit remains attached to the plasma membrane. After that, this G alpha GTP complex binds to the effector and activates the effector protein. After the activation, or after a some cellular response, GTP get hydrolyzed and GDP bounds to G alpha unit. After that binding, quickly they bound to G beta gamma subunits, and the resting phase of the again formed by these trimeric G proteins. Next, GPCRs that bind epinephrine. Epinephrine is a particularly important for a body's response to stress, like a fright or a heavy exercise. When all tissues have an increased need to catabolize glucose and a fatty acid to produce ATP, These principal metabolic fuels can be supplied to the blood in seconds by the rapid breakdown of the glycogen to glucose in the liver. That is, this process called as glycogenolysis, and of triacylglycerols to a fatty acid in the adipose cells. This called as lipolysis, which is carried out by activation of epinephrine. Epinephrine bound to the beta adrenergic receptors on the heart muscle cells increases the contraction rate, which increases the blood supply to the tissues. In other case, epinephrine stimulation of a beta adrenergic receptors on a smooth muscle cells of the intestine causes relaxation. After inhibition of the G alpha subunit activity decreases the adenylyl cyclase activity and also decreases the cyclic AMP production. It is also associated with the activation of a phospholipase C in by using the IP3 or a DAC pathway. Alpha adrenergic GPCRs also present in the livers and the blood vessels in the peripheral organs. GPCRs that regulates the adenylyl cyclase activity. Ligand binding to G synthase coupled receptors causes the activation of adenylyl cyclase. After ligand binding to the GI coupled receptor causes the inhibition of the enzyme. The G beta gamma subunit in a both stimulatory and the inhibitory G proteins is identical. The G alpha subunits and their corresponding receptor differs. The ligand stimulated formation of a active G alpha GTP complexes occurs by the mechanism shown in this figure. However, the G alpha GTP and G inhibitory alpha GTP interacts differently with the adenylyl cyclase, so then one stimulates and other inhibits that catalytic activity, which is shown in this figure. Hmm. Adenylyl cyclase is an integral membrane protein that contains 12 transmembrane segments. It also has two cytoplasmic domains together form a catalytic site for the synthesis of a cyclic AMP from the ATP. The primary targets of the cyclic AMP is a regulatory kinase like protein kinase A or a cyclic AMP dependent protein kinases. Hmm. The inactive pKa, that is protein kinase A, protein kinase A in inactive tetrameric complex in which two pKa catalytic subunits are non-covalently associated with the two regulatory subunits. But when concentration of the cyclic AMP increases, they binds to the subunits of the catalytic of catalytic subunits of the pKa and goes into releasing the active catalytic subunits. The regulation of the glycogen degradation. In the first, the cyclic AMP mediated cellular response is the release of the glucose from the glycogen occurs in the muscles and the liver cells, which is stimulated by epinephrine or other hormones whose receptors are coupled to the G synthase protein. This activation of a pKa can coordinate the activity of a group of intracellular enzymes towards the common purpose. The glycogen, which is a large glucose polymer and or a storage form of glucose in the animals, hmm, is synthesized by one set of enzymes and degraded by other set of enzymes. Three enzymes convert glucose into uridine diphosphoglucose, the primary intermediate in a glycogen synthesis. The glucose residues of a UDP glucose is transferred by glycogen synthesis to the free hydroxyl group on a carbon 4 of a glucose residue at the end of the growing glycogen chain. The degradation of a glycogen involves the removal of a stepwise removal of a glucose residues from the phosphorylate from the end by a phosphorylasis reaction catalyzed by the glycogen phosphorylase, yielding the glucose 1 phosphate. Hmm. Glucose 1 phosphate produced from glycogen is converted to glucose 6 phosphate. In the regulation, glucose 1 phosphate converts into the glucose 6 phosphate, while this glucose 6 phosphate hydrolyzes to glucose, which is exported from these cells in by a glucose transporter in the plasma membrane. Thus, glycogen stores in the liver are primarily broken down into glucose, which is immediately released into the blood and transported into other tissues like muscles, brains. The epinephrine stimulated increase in a cyclic AMP and the subsequent activation of the protein kinase A enhances the conversion of a glycogen to glucose 1 phosphate in a two ways. First, by inhibiting the glycogen synthesis, and second by stimulating glycogen degradation. pKa phosphorylates and thus inactivates the glycogen synthesis, the enzyme that synthesizes glycogen, right? The pKa promotes the glycogen degradation indirectly by phosphorylating and thus activating the intermediate kinase, glycogen phosphorylase kinase, that in turn phosphorylates and activates the glycogen phosphorylase enzyme that degrades glycogen. The entire process is reversed when epinephrine is removed and the level of a cyclic AMP drops and inactivation of a PK. This reversal is mediated by phosphoprotein phosphatases, which removes the phosphate residues from the inactive form of a glycogen synthesis, thereby activating it, and from the active form of a glycogen phosphorylase kinase, and the glycogen phosphorylase inactivates them. This is the diagram for the increased cyclic AMP production, where stimulation of a glycogen breakdown gets the phospho group is attached to the GPK, because of which GP glycogen phosphorylase which is then attached to the phosphate group, which increases the glycogen breakdown into glucose 1 phosphate. While during inhibition of a glycogen synthesis, the inhibitor of a phosphoprotein phosphatases is attached to the phospho group, which is released by glycogen synthase, and active phosphoprotein phosphatases turns into the inactivation. This is the table for the cellular response to hormone induced which rise in the cyclic AMP in a various tissue. That is in adipose tissue, epinephrine induces rise in the cyclic AMP, which results in the increase in a hydrolysis of a triacyl glycerides and a decrease in a amino acid uptake. While in liver, epinephrine hormone induces the conversion of the glycogen to glucose. Next, the nitric oxide or a cyclic GMP pathway. Uh, a related cyclic signaling pathway involves the phospholipase C operates the vascular endothelial cells and causes the relaxation of the smooth muscle cells in response to circulating acetylcholine in the nitric oxide or a cyclic GMP pathway. Down in this which synthesizes the gas nitric oxide from the arginine. Nitric oxide diffuses into the smooth muscle cells and causes the relaxation by activating guanylyl cyclase and increasing in the cyclic GMP, which results in the dilation of a heart, increasing the blood supplies. But then it also produced nitric oxide also produced from the drug nitroglycerin, which is given to the heart attack patients and to treat the angina patients. GPCRs that regulates the ion channel, that is muscarinic acetylcholine receptors. The neurotransmitters ion channels receptors include some types of glutamate and serotonin receptors, as well as nicotinic acetylcholine receptors, which is found in the nerve muscle synapses. Then some neurotransmitter receptors. The effector protein of some of these is a sodium and potassium channels. Neurotransmitters binding to these receptors neurotransmitter binding to these receptors causes the associated ion channels to open or to close, leading to changes in the membrane potential. Then some other neurotransmitter receptors are a G protein coupled receptors that indirectly modulates the activity of the ion channels via the activation of the secondary messengers. So, binding of the acetylcholine to a nicotinic acetylcholine receptors in a striated muscle cells generates the potential that triggers muscle contraction, while uh, in the cardiac muscles, muscarinic acetylcholine receptors are inhibitory. Binding of acetylcholine to these receptors slows the rate of the heart muscle contraction by causing long-lived hyperpolarization of the muscle cell membrane. This activation of the muscarinic acetylcholine receptor, which is coupled to the G inhibitory proteins, leads to the opening of the associated potassium channels and the subsequent efflux of the K plus or a potassium ions causes the hyperpolarization of the plasma membrane. The signal from the activated receptors is transduced to the effector protein by the released G beta gamma subunit rather than by G alpha GTP. That G beta gamma directly activates the potassium channel Then rhodopsin. In the human retina contains the two types of photoreceptors, that is rods and the cones. The primary recipients of a visual, which are the primary recipients of the visual stimulation. Cones are involved in the color vision, and rods are stimulated by weak light like moonlight, mm, over a range of wavelengths. The photoreceptor synapse on a layer upon the layer of interneurons that are innervated by different combinations of a photoreceptor cells. All these signals are processed and interpreted by the part of the brain called the visual cortex. Rhodopsin is a G protein coupled receptor that is activated by light, and it is localized to the membrane disc that make up the outer segments of a rod cells. The trimeric G protein coupled to rhodopsin, often called transducin, that is GT, is found only in the rod cells. In humans, the rod cells contains 4 into 10 raised to 7 molecules of the rhodopsins, which consists of 7 spanning protein called opsin, to which covalently bound to the light absorbing pigment 11 cis retinal. After that binding, conformational changes occurs in the receptors, resulting form in which opsin is covalently bound to all transretinal is called meta-rhodopsin 2 or activated opsin. Analogous to the Analogous to other G protein coupled receptors, the light activated form of rhodopsin interacts with and activates the associated G proteins, that is GT. Activated opsin is unstable and spontaneously dissociates into their component parts, releasing opsin and all transretinal, thereby terminating the visual signaling. In the dark, free all transretinal is converted back to 11 cis retinal, which then rebind to opsin, reforming rhodopsin. In the dark, the membrane potential of the rod cell is about minus 30 millivolt, which is considerably less than resting potential. Then in the mechanism of a rhodopsin signaling, one causes the in dark adapted rod cells, a high level of a cyclic GMP keeps nucleotide gated non-selective cation ion channels open. In light absorption generates the activated rhodopsins, which binds inactive GDP bound GT proteins and mediates the replacement of a GDP with a GTP. The free GT alpha GTP generated then activates the cyclic GMP phosphodiesterase by binding to its inhibitory gamma subunits and dissociating them from the catalytic alpha and the beta subunits. Relieved of their inhibition, the alpha and the beta subunit converts the cyclic GMP to GMP, resulting decrease in the cytosolic cyclic GMP leads to the dissociation of a cyclic GMP from the nucleotide gated channels in the plasma membrane and closing the channels. The plasma membrane then becomes transiently hyperpolarized. Rhodopsin signaling must be rapidly shut down in order for the eye to detect the rapid movement and other changes in the objects in our surrounding. The shutdown of the signaling is in about milliseconds. It is happen in 50 milliseconds and involves some contributing processes. G alpha G alpha T or GT alpha bound GTP is rapidly hydrolyzed. Then hydrolysis of a GTP by G alpha T is stimulated by dimeric gap protein consisting RGS9 or a beta 5 subunit. In second, the calcium sensing proteins that detect a fall in the intracellular calcium stimulates the activity of a guanylate cyclase, leads to reopening of the ion channel. The ability of activated rhodopsin to stimulate transducin is downregulated by phosphorylation by rhodopsin kinase, and finally it is blocked by the binding a protein called arrestin to the rhodopsin. This is the visualization of the in the dark and in the light. Then visual adaptations. Rod cell signaling actually is reduced after prolonged exposure to high light intensity. This is apparent as a time delay during which vision is compromised when we move from the bright to the dark light. The change in the sensitivity of our eyes, which this called is visual adaptations. In the dark, transducin molecules are transported to the outer rod segments, while arrestin molecules are transported elsewhere in the cell. While in the bright light, the distribution of transducin and arrestin is reversed, becomes reversible. Though the distribution of these proteins, visual signaling is desensitized at a high light level and sensitized at a low light intensity. Then cyclic AMP is synthesized from the ATP by the enzyme adenine cyclase, while cyclic AMP is broken down into AMP via the enzyme cyclic AMP phosphodiesterase. which is shown in this diagram. Then activation of a gene transcription by GPCR signaling. GPCR regulates the gene transcription by the cyclic AMP production and the protein kinase A signaling pathways. When cyclic AMP released, protein kinase A catalytic domain enters the nucleus and phosphorylates the CRE binding proteins, which binds to the cyclic AMP response, which binds to the CRE sequences upstream in the CMP cyclic AMP regulated genes. Only phosphorylated, that is CREB, has DNA binding activity. The P phosphorylated CREB interacts with other transcription factors to help assemble the RNA polymerase II transcription machinery at this promoter. While in the liver, glucagon signaling via this pathway activates the transcription of a genes needed for the gluconeogenesis. Then down regulation of the GPCR or a cyclic AMP or a PKS signaling. There are number of events which contributes the termination, that is end of the signaling by these GPCRs or a G protein coupled receptors, which includes the dissociation of the hormones from the receptor or by hydrolyzing the GTP and convert it into G alpha GDP subunit, or by the hydrolysis of a cyclic AMP by cyclic AMP phosphodiesterase, or a phosphorylation or a desensitization of a receptors by kinases like protein kinase A or a beta adrenergic receptor kinases. Then another common GPCR signaling pathway involves the activation of a phospholipase C, which cleaves the membrane lipid phosphatidyl inositol 4,5 biphosphate to the secondary messenger and inositol 1,4,5 triphosphate and diglycerols. The inositol group in this phospholipid, which extends to the cytosol adjacent to the membrane, can be reversibly phosphorylated and by the combined actions of various kinases and phosphatases yields the membrane bound phosphoinositides. The level of these phosphoinositides in the cell regulated by the extracellular signal, by especially by the those which binds to the receptor tyrosine kinase or a cytokine receptors. The phosphoinositide, that is PIP2, binds to many cytosolic proteins to the plasma membrane, which are required for the forming or a remodeling of the actin cytoskeleton, and others are required for the binding of proteins for important for the endocytosis and vesicle fusions. While this phosphoinositide is cleaved by the plasma membrane associated enzyme called phospholipase C to generate two important secondary messengers, that is DAG, that is 1,2-diacylglycerol, and a lipophilic molecule that remains associated with the membrane, and inositol 1,4,5 triphosphate, which diffuses in the cytosol. Hormone binding to receptor coupled to either a G0 or a GQ protein induces the activation of the beta isoform of a phospholipase by the general mechanism. Most intracellular calcium ions are sequenced in the mitochondria or in the lumen of the endoplasmic reticulum. Cells employ various mechanisms for regulating the concentration of calcium ions in the cytosol, which usually is kept below 0.2 micro. For instance, calcium ATPases pump cytosolic calcium ions across the plasma membrane to the cell exterior or into the lumens of intracellular calcium storing compartments. In this pathway, that is IP3 signaling elevates the cytosolic CA. This pathway triggers by ligand binding to a certain G-uridine coupled receptors and other several receptors, leading to the activation of a phospholipase C, which cleavage of a PIP2 by phospholipase C yields in the IP3 and the DAG, that is. After this step, or after diffusing through the cytosol, IP3 interacts with and opens the calcium channels in the membrane of the endoplasmic reticulum, causing the release of the stored calcium ions into the cytosol. One of various cellular responses induced by a rise in the cytosolic calcium is recruitment of a protein kinase C to the plasma membrane, where it is activated by DAG, that is DAG. The activated kinase can phosphorylate various cellular enzymes and receptors, thereby altering their activity. As endoplasmic reticulum calcium stores are depleted, and the IP3 gated calcium channels bind to and open store operated TRP calcium channels in the plasma membrane, allowing influx of the extracellular calcium. This is all about the G protein coupled receptor, which is involved in many reactions, many signaling pathways. Thank you.